Good morning. This is Quiet Echo. I'm Teresa Nikas, and I'll be your host for this episode. I got a letter this week from Susan Davis. I have read it 3 times. I do not agree with all of it, but I am not going to stand here and pretend she is wrong about the parts that matter. Last week, I wrote an editorial called "If You Want My Vote, Talk About My Budget." The argument was simple. Politicians talk in billions. Families count in 10s and 20s. When the people running for office cannot tell you what a gallon of milk costs, they have stopped listening to the people they are asking to vote for them. Susan read that editorial and pushed back, not with anger, with something harder to dismiss. She pushed back with truth. She said groceries and housing are not the whole story. And she is right. Nearly 800,000 Americans sleep without a roof on any given night. At least a third of them are children. Some of the adults among them go to work in the morning and have nowhere to go at night. Think about that for a moment. A person who earns a paycheck but cannot cash it because she has no address. A person who cannot register her child for school because she has no proof of residence. A person who cannot vote because the system requires a home she does not have. That is not politics. That is arithmetic. Susan said we can no longer look away. She is right about that, too. There was a time when distance did our forgetting for us. If you did not have a television, if you were not in that city or that shelter or that tent under the overpass, you did not know. Television ended that. The internet finished it. Now we carry the whole broken world in our pockets. And knowing, really knowing, creates an obligation that ignorance never did. She also wrote something that I want to be careful with. She wrote that keeping people disenfranchised is the whole point, that the systems are not broken. They are built this way on purpose. She may be right about some people in some places. I am not naive enough to pretend otherwise, but I have lived in Cedar Valley long enough to know that is not the whole truth here. In this town, people still bring casseroles when someone is sick. They still pull over on the highway when a car is in the ditch in January. They argue about the school budget. They argue about the school budget, but they argue because they care about the school, not because they want to keep anyone down. If there is a conspiracy to disenfranchise Cedar Valley, it is losing badly to the women who run the food bank. But here is where Susan's letter cut deepest. She said a person needs more than food to stay alive. A person needs dignity. A person needs to be seen. She is right. And that is the part I have been sitting with for 3 days. I want to say something to Susan directly, and to anyone listening who felt the same fire in her words. The way we stay seen is not by waiting for the people in charge to see us. It is by seeing each other, right here, right now. In the school parking lot, the post office, and the grocery aisle, where you already know what everything costs. Dignity does not come down from a podium. It passes between 2 people who stop long enough to listen. Susan wrote that she is not a statistic, not a category, not a demographic. She is a person. I believe her. I have always believed that about every person who writes to this paper, whether I agree with them or not. And I think that is what a newspaper in a small town is supposed to do. Not settle the argument. Hold the table where the argument happens. Make sure everyone who sits down gets heard. Yes, we will keep talking about grocery bills, heating oil, and what it costs to keep a roof over your family. Not because those things matter more than freedom, because for a family trying to make it through February in Cedar Valley, they are the same thing. A full cart and a warm house are not luxuries. They are the floor a person stands on when she raises her hand and says, "I am here. I matter. See me." Susan, thank you for writing. Keep writing. This paper is your table, too. This has been the Cedar Valley News Podcast. I'm Teresa Nikas. We'll talk later. This podcast is part of the fictional Cedar Valley News series. While the people in town are fictional, the national events they reflect on are real. Want to know the full story behind Cedar Valley? Teresa, Caleb, Dan, and the community you've come to know in these editorials first came together in Quiet Echo. Discover how a small town found its way from fear to fellowship, one quiet act of courage at a time. Available on Amazon.
You've been listening to the Cedar Valley News Podcast, where small-town voices meet the headlines shaping our world. From faith and family to front porches and fields. We'll be back with more stories connecting real lives to real events. Until next time. Keep your porch light on, your faith strong, and your heart open.